to my channel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a warning to this video because this is a serious topic and I just really want to share with you guys what exactly has been going on with myself. So I want to go ahead and just put a little warning here. So we're just going to go ahead and do this warning. I am going to be talking about some sensitive topics. I will be listing this as it is not appropriate for kids, like I always do with majority of my videos that are pretty serious like this. I'll be talking about eating disorders and mental health, mental abuse, those kinds of things. Very sensitive topics, so if you do not want to be triggered or anything like that, please don't continue this video. But if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you're older subscribers, hello, welcome back. Let's just go ahead and jump right on in because this is probably going to be a long one and I just want to go ahead and get started with you guys. But before we do, please be sure to hit the subscribe button to join in on the family if you haven't already, and be sure to turn that little bell on to be notified when I upload. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. Okay, now it was mainly last night. I was just laying in bed, like my husband was at work and my kids were asleep, and I was just laying in our bed, and it got me to thinking about a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of people have their opinions on, you know, like my double chin, my arms, like my weight. Obviously it doesn't matter to me because I know me and I know my body, and I know that people around me love me no matter what. But I know people have their opinions. Everybody has their own opinions. Like I said, it doesn't really bother me because I am doing what's best for me, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I know people look at me, especially like my stomach, and I know they have opinions on it. Like if I wear certain things, or, you know, certain types of shirts, that kind of thing, you know, I know they have their opinions. I just kind of want to share what's going on with me mentally and my body and why I am the way that I am. And it's not because I've had 2 kids, and it's not because of, you know, like my thyroid disorder. If you do not know, I do suffer from hypothyroidism, which is where your thyroid glands right here in your throat do not produce enough hormones. There's hypo and hyper. I have one of the worst ones, which is hypo. Causes brittle nails, weight gain, dry skin, dry hair, like fatigue, you name it. It is the worst. You practically have to take medication your whole life. Some people are just lucky and it heals magically, but I'm not one of them people yet. A lot of fluctuation between medicines. You have to get blood drawn for it. You have to make sure that you're taking the proper dosage of your medicine, and it's just a whole big ordeal. But yes, my body is not because of those things the way it is. I suffer. I've not actually been diagnosed by a doctor, but I know for a fact myself that it fits with me, it fits with all the symptoms, it fits with everything in the book. I suffer from binge eating disorder. Now, my whole life, I've been not a heavier gal like I am today. I don't even consider myself heavy or like obese or anything, you know, or anything like that. But when I got with a certain person back after I graduated is when everything started happening. Now I'm going to get into the story of why I have self-diagnosed myself, but please talk to a professional, get their opinions, talk to them. I have not interacted with my doctor about this, and to be honest, my doctor is not the best doctor. She stresses me out. She is kind of rude, and she's really like snobby is the best way I can put it. But like I said, you can, self-diagnose yourself and things like that. So yes, I suffer from binge eating disorder, and I'm sorry if this video is all over the place too. It's just a lot of thoughts, a lot of things, and I just don't want to forget anything, so I should have wrote stuff down, but that's okay. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Binge eating disorder is pretty much where you overeat. Yeah, you pretty much just overeat, and you eat when you're bored, and you eat when you're sad, or you eat when you're angry. I do, and it's actually super hard to cope with, and it's super hard to work against. Like, it's super, super hard. Like, I don't think a lot of people really understand, but it's hard. Now, I got with this person. I'm not going to say any names, but if you know me personally, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I got with this person not too long after graduating high school. I graduated high school in 2016. I was 18 years old, and we met online. I think it was Meet Me was the website that we met on. And we started talking, we ended up meeting, we ended up getting together, that kind of thing. When he got to where he wanted to be with me all the time, he's like, hey, why don't you move in with me and my mom, because he lived with his mom. Not going to mention no names, like I said. If you know me personally, again, you know who I'm talking about. I moved 3 different times when I was with this person. So that also, like, mentally took a toll on me. This person specifically was a mama's boy. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, for me personally, in my experience, it wasn't the best thing. They were, the worst mama's boy. They were used to getting everything they wanted, used to getting all the expensive things, used to getting high-end clothes, and, like, eating out at fancy places, like, spoiled. And obviously, I am not that kind of gal. So it felt really different for me to be in an environment like that. Said person's mother worked at the big hospital in the city that they lived at. I'm not going to give out the city. But they worked at the hospital, as a nurse practitioner, I guess. I don't know what. Something to do with the hospital. But they eventually was a nurse practitioner at a clinic. So yeah. Said person's mom and dad was not together. That kind of thing. So they were divorced, Later on, said person's mom was with this dude. He stressed me out too. I didn't like him. I'm not going to say his name either. But eventually she sold her house that they lived in when I was first with my ex. And then they moved. And then when they moved is when I actually moved in with my ex. Now, I had no choice but to get a job, and I was forced to pretty much also work at a place that I did not want to work at, which was Golden Corral. There's nothing wrong if you work at Golden Corral, but it's just not my scene. I hated it, and I hated the people I worked with. I hate to say that, but it was not the best place to have a first job. I was a hostess, and it was just not for me. I mean, there's nothing wrong, like I said, with working in an environment like that. If you love your job, then you love your job. It just wasn't right for me, and that specific Golden Corral just was completely different, you know. So I'd worked there, and then that was when he had moved already, so we was living together. Then supposedly all of these health issues started with my ex. So they were having to go to doctor's appointments, they were, you know, that kind of thing. And then eventually, later on down the road, said person's mom and the dude that they were with started having really bad issues. And he started having issues with me, and pretty much ended with us all moving. Me, ex, and said my ex's mother. So we moved yet again. And when we did, that's when things really started to get bad for me. That's when I had to leave a job. I wasn't able to work out a 2 weeks notice at Golden Corral, so I had to up and leave. Not to mention Golden Corral, it actually took a toll on like my health. It actually screwed my knee up. It made me find out that I suffer from scoliosis, and one of my hips are not aligned with the other. So yeah, we moved, all that jazz. When we moved, I had applied for I had to find another job, because said person's mother said I had to. Need I remind you, it was just me, my ex, and my ex's mother living in a townhouse now. I don't know what you'd call it. So then when I got a job, I applied to a local food city and started working there. And need I remind you, I actually did love working at Food City. It was super easy, and when we'd have, you know, the Midnight Madness sales, this was, you know, like before COVID hit, that kind of thing. Obviously, this was in 2019 now. I'd been with this person for 3 years. Was engaged for 2 with this person. Then I started working, like I said, and my ex had started hanging out with their dad. Their dad would come pick them up, or he would, you know, that kind of thing. He would pick him up, they would go hang out. Lord knows what they done, I don't know. And then it got to the point where I was home a lot with my ex's mom, just us. And then eventually time passes, you know, and it gets to the point where I started to become distant with my ex, because they would be hanging out with their dad a lot, and then their dad would come there. Their dad said that I was not allowed to do any YouTube videos or anything like that. So I was forced to stop doing what I loved, which was filming. And they said if I wanted to do any of that, I had to do it literally outside of the house, away from the house, like park or somewhere outside, you know. So yeah, I was forced to do that. And I wasn't even showing anything to give away where I lived at or anything, need I remind you. So as we were living there where we were, and I was working at Food City, this was before I started Food City, is when the problem really started. I'd put in, you know, at places, and then I'd put in there, and I would wait to hear back. And during that time, my ex's mom was practically starving me, because she would hardly buy groceries. She would always eat out, and she would hardly bring anything back. And there were days where I had to literally go to Rural King, where I lived at, and eat because I was starving, because Rural King used to give out the free popcorn, and that's what I would live off of, is popcorn and whatever I could find to eat. Then all of that happened like before the move and before I started working at Food City, you know, that kind of thing. But it got progressively worse when we moved. And then I started working at Food City. And then things just really started, you know, to kick in. Like, I was getting into fights with my ex's dad, pretty much saying that I was starved and things like that. And said person, mom, would try to say that she never starved me, you know, trying to make it seem like I was lying. And, you know, obviously my ex was getting fed and everything because they were with their dad half the time, you know, all this and that. And then my ex decided to go on a trip with their dad to Arizona. So I was left alone with my ex's mom for a while. I want to say probably about anywhere, I think it was about a week. And I practically, like I said, I practically starved, you know, until I started getting paid and got the job at Food City. And I was on food stamps, and I was having issues with that. So I was constantly having issues on getting food at some point, and I starved. And then I think that has what's really led up to binge eating now, because when you go through something traumatic like that and then you are taken care of now, you go in fight or flight mode. And, like, you're in fight or flight mode all the time, no matter if you're safe or not, you know. I just want to put out there, I'm very, very happy. I'm safe. I'm comfortable. My life is perfect, like perfect. You know, not everybody's life perfect, but for me, this is a perfect life. It's what I want. Pretty much all of that happened, being starved, kind of put me in fight or flight when I met my husband. And the more our relationship grew, mine and my husband's, and then I got pregnant with our daughter. I had our first daughter, then it really started kicking in. I started getting depressed after I had my first daughter. I was on antidepressants, I was on anti-anxiety medication, and then on top of that, I was trying to cope by constantly binge eating, whether it be I was bored, sad, or anything. And from then on out, I had our daughter in 2020. I slowly started to gain the weight. I obviously gained weight with my pregnancy. I gained about 60 pounds with my first pregnancy. And then binge ate, and then I got pregnant with our second daughter, and I ate a lot with it, but I didn't gain as much weight as I did with my first pregnancy. I still suffer from binge eating every now and then, especially if it's something that I love, whether it be pizza. I've always loved pizza my whole life. I've just had a lot of issues with overeating, and it's pretty much that PTSD, fight or flight, kicking in. Like, mentally, even though I know it's going to be there later, obviously, you know, it's just one of them things where it's just hard to explain unless you just deal with it, like you've dealt with it yourself. And it makes me really sad that I suffer with this, and it's hard mentally because you want to stop because you're so afraid your overeating is going to cause you to not be around, or to be, 300 plus pounds, and it's scary. It's very, very scary, and it's always on your mind. Sorry, it's just really something touchy for me to talk about because I've never really talked about all this going on, and I'm really trying my best to better myself for my kids and my husband, and not just them but my mom and things like that. I want to be around longer. I try my best to do as best as I can. But once I got with my husband, I knew that I was safe. I knew that it was okay to eat. And I knew that I had food on the table, and that he would go to work and work to provide food for me. And then it just started becoming so comforting that it became a problem. But I'm working on it, and I just want this video to be out there for people to know that you are not alone. You're safe with me. If you ever want to talk to me, I am here. My social medias are always linked in my description box for you guys to follow my life outside of YouTube or anything. So it's always there to talk. It's nice to see that I'm not the only one to suffer from something. And I never really thought about what was wrong with me until I was laying in bed last night. And it just linked all together on why I am the way that I am. And I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I'm actually recovering from a back injury, I guess, because I went a little crazy walking. I was walking 1 to 2 miles, and I was pushing my youngest in a stroller, and I think I strained a muscle in my back, or I pinched a nerve or something. So I'm still recovering from that, but it made me feel good. It made me happy to get, walking like that. And my Otis, we would walk together, and just us girls. Oh, sorry. So us girls, we was just walking, and it made it enjoyable, fresh air outside, just in nature. It brought me peace. It brought me happiness. I was proud of myself, and then I got my back injury. I went a little too ham on it, but I am currently on anti-anxiety medication. It has actually helped me a lot. I started on it probably about a month, I'd say now, ago. Maybe longer, I'm not really sure, but I got put back on anti-anxiety medication, and it's okay. And I'm okay to say, hey, I have a little help, and that's okay. And I'm proud of myself for taking that step forward for myself. Nobody has forced me to get on anti-anxiety medication. I just had a lot of anxiety anyway. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. So I reached out to my doctor. We talked about it and got me on this anti-anxiety med. And I'm happy. I have my moments, of course. Sometimes it's a relapse with binge eating on certain things, or I'll be like, this sounds really good, and when I get it in my head, I can't get it out of my head unless I go ahead and eat it, even if I'm not hungry. I do have moments, and then there's some moments in the day where I eat just like a normal person would, you know. I don't really wake up early enough to really eat breakfast. I mean, I wake up at 9 something, but I still don't really eat breakfast because I'm sometimes not really that hungry when I get up. So I'll eat like lunch and snacks and then dinner, you know, and then I'll have like a snack before bed. Sometimes it's normal days like that, and then sometimes it seems like I eat 20 times a day. I'm not even joking. There's just days, you know, that it happens, you know, and that's okay. I'm just trying my best to really work hard on it. Like I said, it's super, super hard. Like, there are times where I try to do calorie deficit, and doing it stresses me out. Like, if I see that I'm only like 15 calories over than my calorie budget, I literally stress out so, so, so badly. And I'm not even joking. So, I have my moments, and I try my best. And anymore, I don't do calorie deficit because I'm mentally not prepared, but I know that it would help, but it also stresses me out, you know. So I just try to go with the flow is what I'm trying to say. I go with the flow. I just enjoy life because I don't want to spend my life tracking everything to the last crumb. And in my mind, I always just, when I do eat and if I feel good, I'm just like, hey, you know, just eat, you know, this, you know, that kind of thing, you know. I just go with the flow, and I'm working on it, and it's actually helping me a lot better doing it my way instead of, you know, like calorie deficit like I was mentioning. I want to be happy in life. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be depressed. Yes, I don't like my body, but my body has went through a lot of trauma. My body has grew 2 beautiful babies that are absolutely beautiful and healthy and my absolute world. And my husband loves my body image just the way it is. And I have to always keep reminding myself that you have a husband that loves you for you. You have that support. Your mother, your dad, your brother, they all love you just how you are. And that's something that I have to just try and keep in my head mentally, you know, like, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay if you slip up and eat more ice cream than you're supposed to, you know, like, you're happy, you are healthy, you don't have any issues, you know, like, besides my thyroid problem, which, you know, I'm on medicine for. But you guys know what I'm saying. But that is my story. I feel so much better getting it all out there. I feel better knowing that this is out there, and hopefully it can help somebody to know, like I said earlier, that they are not alone and they have somebody to talk to. And I just feel so much better in general. I'm happy. I am not stressed as much about, you know, anxiety even. Go with the flow now. I just, like I said, go with the flow. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I know it was super long, but I don't want my channel filled with, you know, just happiness. You know, I want it to be relatable. I want to put content out about mental health because it is so, so, so important. And if you guys love mental health videos, please let me know down in the comments, and I will definitely share with you guys some more, you know, like, you know, it's just something that needs to be taken a lot more serious than a lot of people, you know, do. and it's super important. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for listening to my story. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.